Hi, I'm John Piper and I'm running for governor of Indiana in 2020. My platform is simple: stop government corruption. Stop the corruption here in Indiana. We're going to start real quick by going over the 4 pillars of my campaign. We're going to fight human trafficking, which is the sex trafficking, which is the drug trafficking. It's all one big thing. We're going to go after all the corruption at the NAFTA highway. Now they've renamed it the I-69 highway. It started out as the NAFTA highway. Purdue University and the vet school scandal. Lori Loughlin and all those folks are getting ready to go to federal prison for giving bribes. Mike Pence was taking the bribes for medical school and selling half the seats. Outrageous. We're going to go and talk about the other outrageous event that happened on July 25th of last year, and that's when somebody tried to take my life. They drove across my lawn, 100 feet off the road, tried to run me down because of my political position while I was running for the United States Senate. I was a federal candidate. They tried to murder me, and Governor Eric Holcomb tried to cover it up. Thankfully, the Chief Justice of our Supreme Court saw through this, sent me a letter demanding an investigation. To this point, none has been done. We'll get to that in a little bit in one of our next videos. But today we're going to start with the sex trafficking, the human trafficking, and the drug trafficking. Many of you have watched Matthew McConaughey, Ashton Kutcher, the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, many others, Senator Rob Portman, Senator Todd Cotton, the Attorney General out of Florida, Pam Bondi. Many of these people have been on TV. Recently, Mark Levin has jumped on this, Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham. Human trafficking is one of the biggest crimes in the entire world. Some say the biggest crime. $150 billion in the sex trade industry, with mostly Asian children and South American children being smuggled into the United States. Indiana's become the hub. We are basically the crossroads of America for sex trafficking. We are also known as the pedophile state. As governor, I will make that stop. It will not happen anymore. My personal experience is 2005. We had a very horrible incident where my business was located in Greenwood, Indiana, in a strip center. Guns were drawn, children were forced out of a car, they were put in front of No. 1 Walk restaurant. The whole strip center went into a lockdown. Many of us called 911. Police never showed up. One of my sales reps was at my door. It's 7:30 in the morning. She's pulling on my door crying. She comes in. I see what's going on. I see mailboxes, etc. next to me go into lockdown mode. We tell the cops what kind of car, what direction they're heading. They pull back in the parking lot because the people inside still want to take the kids in. It was just dreadful and horrible. To this day, we've never got an explanation of why the police refuse to come and do their duty. It's just terrible and dreadful. This guy right here, Mike Pence, and I met in 2009 at this particular fundraiser at a private residence on Geist Reservoir in Indiana. This is Senator John Barrasso. He watched the whole thing unfold. This is myself, and this is my lovely wife, Anna. We went there, and Mike Pence, basically how these events work, you walk in, you hand over your donation, your check, you do the grip and grin, you take pictures, then you go downstairs and you have your hors d'oeuvres and all that stuff. Mike Pence and I got into it right away. I told him I was there because of the sex trafficking, the human trafficking, the drug trafficking. We were watching from our own backyard in a field where there was supposed to be the second part of our subdivision. A house was moved on there. The airport bought the property. No one's ever supposed to be there. It was sex trafficking, human trafficking 101. Moving a house, a trailer, something off the road where nobody can see in kind of a rural area, and they laundered kid after kid after kid. The guy who was running that operation said, oh, it's a cattle operation. Well, we know it wasn't a cattle operation. My wife's a veterinarian, has been for 25 years. I said to my wife one time when I'm looking out the back, I said, how many cattle operations have 10 and 12-year-old Asian children running the operation? The answer is none. How many cattle operations have cars coming at 10 at night, 11 at night, 12 at night? The answer is absolutely none. It was a fake cattle operation designed to do one thing and only one thing, and that was to launder children, have sex with these children, and sell the drugs that these kids were bringing in. I explained all this to Mike Pence. That man, who is now your vice president, looked me in the eye and he said, I'm a congressman, John, a federal man. That's for local police. I can't get involved. Needless to say, I got in his face and said, that's wrong. These kids are kidnapped from around the world. They're smuggled into Mexico. They're used as the modern-day drug mules, loaded up with drugs, and from there, they're smuggled into Indiana by the coyotes, using the same system as the Underground Railroad used in the 1800s. Mike Pence said, I'm a federal man. There's nothing I can do. That's your vice president. Today, it's a different story, standing next to Donald Trump, who's dead set on stopping sex trafficking and human trafficking. Pence, at that point, was working with the FBI to launder kids. And we're going to walk through how all that happened. We're going to start right here. I've been complaining about it for years. In 2014, I'm driving down the road, pulling out of my subdivision, and this is right there, right when I pull out of my subdivision. Help end child prostitution, 1-800-CALL FBI. I pull my car to the side of the road. I pull out my cell phone to take a picture, the one you see here. I called the FBI. You know what the FBI said to me? You got to bring your evidence out, Mr. Piper. We don't take anything over the phone. I'm staring at your sign. What do you mean? I've got 2 addresses, one behind my house and one in the strip center where my business was. No, you got to bring it out. I go home. I put on a suit and tie. I go out to FBI headquarters. I take all the evidence, times, dates, location, Google Earth picture, my name and number of all my neighbors, the business center, all the businesses down there, mailbox, etc., Kroger's, Great Clips, all the stores. These are the people that saw it. These are the people witnesses. The officers' names that also witnessed it that were told they weren't allowed to do anything. Officer Isom, Officer Kelly, Officer Rodriguez, Officer Eck. The health department inspectors that weren't allowed to do anything when they reported. Elizabeth Schultz. The fire chief involved, Jeremy Pell. I talked to him several times. Nothing we could do. The cops won't do anything about the mattress rooms in the back of the restaurant. It was a restaurant. In the back of the restaurant. You're not allowed to have that crap there. That's where we'd see the kids dropped off at least twice a month. 6 to 8 kids at a time. It's off the chart. The FBI would not see me. I drive out there. It's in Castleton here in Indiana. The FBI, the guard at the guard's gate calls in, comes back and said, no agents available to see you. You have to leave. So I get an argument with the guy. He goes, you better leave. So I go home. I get mad at myself. 3 hours later, I come back. I have all the same information. I walk up to the guard tower. I said, you get an agent out here to speak to me or I'm calling a press conference and I'm going to accuse you guys of being the rapists. The guard calls in. Finally, about 5 minutes later, a woman comes storming out without exaggeration, just mad as all hell. And she goes, I'm agent on duty. What can I tell for you? I said, well, what's your name? Where's your card? I'm not allowed to tell you my name. I'm agent on duty. She takes my information, gives me 3 minutes of her time. I explain what I can in that time. She goes, we'll call you back. I said, wait a second. If you think I'm lying, go talk to my neighbors. Go talk to Morris and Danny. Go talk to all the other people whose houses back up to that. They refused. I said, send a state cop, send a local sheriff out. This goes back to the biggest lie in America. And I'm not making this up. A federal agent looked me in the eye, retired guy who brings his pets into my animal hospital, and he goes, the biggest lie in America today, if you see something, say something. They don't want you to say anything. They don't want you to say anything at all. The FBI threw me out twice. I met with Mike Pence 3 times. 2009 here, 2012 downtown at the Capitol building, with State Representative David Frizzell, Deputy Attorney General. And in all fairness, Pence stayed out of that meeting. He was in an outer office, but he sent his nephew, John Pence, in, who was a law student at IU at that time. I said, where's your uncle? He's too busy to come in, but I'm here. I'll get out there all the information and get it back to him. Again, State Representative Frizzell, Deputy Attorney General David Miller, and John Pence, Mike Pence's nephew. The last time we met was at Jonathan Bird's restaurant for a big Republican dinner. It's the Lincoln dinner. Mike Pence was asked to come over by State Representative Frizzell, who brought me to the function. We're sitting next to the head table. Mike Pence, governor, came over, sat between my wife and myself. He recognized me. He was polite. I opened my book, and I showed him all the information we had. I said, this sign right here, this is where he stopped on. I said, it's still going on. Nobody's doing anything about it. And then I went through a whole litany of other things with the police department, the fire department, the health department, all the business owners. Mike Pence said, we're going to get to the bottom of this, John. He rolled all the information up in the packet that I gave him that showed him all the evidence, police reports, all that. He walked away with it. Very important America understand that. He can't deny it happened because the Republican Party had 200 Republicans at that dinner, and it was all captured on tape. So if Mike Pence, your vice president, wants to call me a liar about that meeting, it's all captured on tape, and the Republican Party of Indiana has it. All right, we're going to go a little further down the road here, and we're going to pull this up right here. Everybody wants to know how Indiana got so bad. In 2000, there were 11 sanctuary cities. Today, in 2018, or actually it's 2019 now, but in 2018, there were 564 sanctuary cities. Steve Ducey, Brian Kilmeade, those guys on the set of Fox and Friends, which is where this was, they said, how in the world can that be? And it's Dan Stein, the guy in charge of all this right here, said it's very simple. The governors of these states will not allow local cops to do their job. And that's how we're getting all these cities turning into sanctuary cities, even in places you wouldn't think would be a sanctuary city. For example, right here in Florida, Ron DeSantis is now the new governor there. And what he's doing is he passed a law banning the cities of Florida from offering a sanctuary status and sanctuary policies. As your governor in Indiana, I will do the same. We will undo what Mike Pence and Eric Holcomb have done. We are not going to allow it anymore. We are not going to allow these children to be smuggled in and have their lives destroyed. So a couple of the other things I want to get to. Everybody in the world says Mike Pence is too religious. He's too nice. He's too kind. He's too honest of a man. So let's go back and do a quick little review. In 1990, Mike Pence ran for the first office he ever ran for, and that was to be a United States congressman. He was caught by the Democratic Party stealing tens of thousands of dollars from his own campaign. He used that money to pay off his wife's car, to pay his mortgage, to pay his credit card bills, to pay his grocery bills, and to pay off his golf debts. In 1990, in the state of Indiana, that's felony fraud. He solicited funds for one purpose, used them for personal gain. Everybody remember? That's a felony. Pence should have gone to jail for 5 years, and he should have been disbarred. But because he was part of the swamp, everybody forgave him. Total garbage. 2 sets of laws in the state of Indiana. And that's basically how Pence realized he was untouchable. He could work with the FBI smuggling all these kids in. Now, people are saying there's no way the FBI is involved with something like that. No way anybody would be involved with that. The minority leader in the House of Representatives, McCarthy now, slams Dems for protecting cartels who smuggle children into the U.S. Again, the drug cartels are smuggling these kids in. They smuggle the drugs in, the kids are dropped, the drugs are dropped, and then what happens? The children go to the rape houses, the drugs go to our schools. The FBI knows about it, they help set it up, and they protect it. That's my biggest beef with Pence. Pence knows about it. He allows it, he protects it, and he profits from it, just like the FBI. He's calling out the Democratic Party for just that. He needs to turn his finger and point it at Mike Pence. The evidence is overwhelming. Pence is directly involved. He knew about it. I gave him the actual locations, 2 locations, 3 separate times. Mike Pence, your vice president, has done nothing about it. Then there's, Mike Pence is too religious. He would never do any such thing. Have children raped to death? This is the Illinois Attorney General. More than 500 priests accused of sexual abuse. Remember Cardinal Bernard Law? Appointed cardinal by Pope John Paul, was eventually brought into court to testify against 25 priests he sent parish to parish to parish. Cardinal Law and those 25 priests raped 1,000 little boys. When brought into court, Cardinal Law, very religious, maybe a little more religious than Mike Pence, admitted to it. And what did he say? We relied on faulty psychological analysis. We thought we would get better. We thought we would get past this. After the trial, before he was sentenced, before anybody was sentenced, Cardinal Law was shipped back to the Vatican via help from Ted Kennedy on a private plane. Cardinal Law, right here, was allowed to retire at the Vatican and never saw justice in the United States of America. And it was absolutely outrageous that that happened. So we can't have special privilege for these people. Now, you want to look at some of the things that are wonderful things that are being done. You look at this. Florida has already started these roundups. Indiana won't do any of them. But if you look here, you see 150 people arrested in Florida. Here, this is Mississippi, where you have 168 kids. Right here, you have Michigan, 22 arrested, human trafficking again. Right here, you have 85 in Florida again. Here you have 277 in Florida. Some of this is just outrageous. People say there's no way the FBI can be involved. Pettygate, bombshell. Every American needs to know the story. It's going on right now in Indiana. How the FBI protected an Olympic pedophile. This is the guy that raped 368 little girls. Between 2015 and 2016, the FBI told the Olympic Committee and Michigan State, where this guy worked, told them, don't do anything, we're on it, we're looking at him, we're watching him, we're going to take care of it. In that period of time, between 15 and 16, he raped and molested 27 to 40 more little girls. They have a massive class action lawsuit against the FBI now. Why did the FBI do it? No one's 100% sure. We think they were trying to weed out some of the weaker girls to put them into sex trafficking. But we're going to find out. That case is ongoing. There's a lot of big names involved in trying to stop this now. Laura Ingraham on April 25th of 2018 on her show, human trafficking is a national emergency. As a country, we are aiding and abetting drug cartels and human traffickers. She could not be more right. Very important. This is a direct quote from her. Drug cartels, human traffickers, they're one and the same today. There is nobody beaming in drugs. There is no, Star Trek or Star Wars where all these crazy crafts are bringing it in. Drugs are smuggled in by illegals and the children. We have to accept it. We have to understand it. And only then, if we stop the illegals, we'll stop the illegal children, we'll stop the drugs, we stop the suicides and the deaths of our own children. Here in Indiana, to show you how bad a problem this is, we've all been affected. My family's been affected. In 2017, from the age 25 all the way down to 12, 1,840 young people lost their lives to overdose death. Just in 2017, every year the number goes up. We lost 300 to suicide while on illegal narcotics. That's how bad the problem is in Indiana. And Mike Pence refused ever to lift a finger. Ever. Again, 3 times Pence and I met, 3 times Pence refused to do anything. He had actionable intelligence. We saw him walk away with it, tore it up, and he threw it in the trash. Mike Pence is not a Christian man. He is not an honest man. He is a criminal through and through. Let's go and look at some of the wonderful people that are trying to help. Oh, I'm going to back up 1 second here. 3 feet from where I'm speaking now, February 1st, I met with State Representative Woody Burton. He is in charge of the Budget Committee, chairman of the Budget Committee here at the Indiana House. Sat right there. And I said to him, Woody, forget Trump in this picture. Channel 8 is reporting that Indiana lawmakers are going to study human trafficking. I looked at him, I said, I looked at your agenda online. It's not on there. He goes, we're not doing it. I said, Woody, why aren't you doing it? He goes, it's not on the agenda, we're not doing it. Nobody talked about it, nobody voted on it. I said, why did Channel 8 report it? He goes, it's fake news. Who would tell Channel 8 that the House is going to do this when one of the budget chairmen of 30 years is looking me in the eye and saying, we're not doing it at all. You saw the roundups and the raids in Michigan, Mississippi, Colorado, all the rest. Indiana's not doing anything. Mike Pence will not allow it. There's too much money. I'm going to go to one of the most important pictures of my show here. Mark Levin, the great one. Jocko Boyens. Not many people know him, but he is one of the world's leading advocates to stop sex trafficking. His little sister was taken at the age of 13. She won the equivalent of South American Idol. She was taken by the record company on a tour. They didn't see her for 6 years. She was sent into sex trafficking. Mark Levin asked him some important questions. Who's paying for this? Who are the people paying for this? He goes, it's white Americans making over 100 grand. The biggest consumer for sex trafficking little girls in the whole world is the United States of America. White males making over 100 grand. Mark Levin then just asked him, how much money does this make? He said, 12 to 14-year-old little girl can make $200,000 per year per child to a sex trafficker. $200,000 a year. You want to know why this is important? You want to know why the FBI is involved? Now you know. The FBI is corrupt beyond belief. A lot of great people trying to stop it. That's coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin. Swears he's dedicating the rest of his life to stopping modern day slavery. This book right here, Tim Ballard wrote the book, Slave Stealers. Mike Tomlin wrote the foreword. I recommend every American look at it. You want to stop modern day slavery? You want to stop the death of these little girls? Indianapolis, we estimate 3,000 little girls wind up in child prostitution houses here. 3,000 or more die every year right here in Indianapolis. Matthew McConaughey, a true American hero, just like Coach. Right now, the number is over 6,000. I saw a recent update. His group has saved over 6,000 little girls. He's an actor. He's put his acting career on hold for all practical purposes, and he's dedicating his life to stopping the rape and murder of these little girls. Matthew McConaughey, He's working with the Attorney General of Texas to help with these roundups, put out the word, using his name, getting involved any way he can. They estimate there's over 70,000 girls in Texas in sexual bondage. You can't make these things up. It's so outrageous. And there's people at the highest parts of our government are involved. This guy worked for Donald Trump, Labor Secretary. He's the guy that got Jeffrey Epstein off. Jeffrey Epstein did get arrested, did go to court, did go to jail for 12 hours a day. And the rest of the time he was allowed out to go rape little girls. He was fired by Trump, justifiably so. He should have gone to prison himself. Everybody remembers Jeffrey Epstein, of course. He was best friends with Bill Clinton, took Bill Clinton to Rape Island. All these important people get away with absolute anything they want. Don't believe me? Let's look at this. Bob Kraft, owner of the New England Patriots, was arrested, caught on tape, having sex with 15-year-old little girls in a strip center. He's a billionaire, an NFL owner. He wants women. He can go to Las Vegas and stay at the best hotels, have the most beautiful women brought to his penthouses. Nope. Bob Kraft went to a cheesy strip center and had sex with 15-year-old little Asian girls. They can't speak English. There's no way to tell the cops. He can do whatever sick, perverted things he wants with them. And that's why guys like him do what they do. And that's why you have the money. You have these guys paying unbelievable bucks. Oh, I don't want to go there. There's actually so many things that we want to get to. I don't want to belabor the point, but we want to talk about how else the government is directly involved. This is a very important story here. The AP reported officials approved thousands of requests to bring in child brides to the United States. We have a lot of new cultures coming to the United States in big, big numbers. Personally, I think they have to assimilate. Have your traditions from your old country, but if you come to America, you have to live within our laws. You cannot marry a 10 and 12-year-old little girl in the United States of America. They don't know what marriage is. You're doing nothing but buying a little girl for sex. That's exactly what's going on here. It's absolutely outrageous. I'm not going to waste any more time. There's a lot more going on here. A few other things I would like to point out before I end this. We do have the Purdue scandal. That's going to be one of our next videos. Then we're going to have the NAFTA highway. When America finds out what Mike Pence was involved with, laundering money to Spain, America is just going to be floored. He's not an honest man. And I want to apologize because I forgot one horribly big thing here I want to get to. This, I'm going to back up here. Obama administration placed children with human traffickers, report says. The Obama administration failed. I better try to enlarge that best I can. Oh. The Obama administration failed to protect thousands of Central American children flooded across the U.S. border since 2011, leaving them vulnerable to traffickers and the abuse at the hands of government-approved caretakers. A United States Senate report. The government's placing, our government, which means the FBI. Senator Rob Portman from Ohio initiated a 6-month investigation after several Guatemalan teens were found in a dilapidated trailer park near Marion, Ohio, where they were being held captive by traffickers and forced to work in an egg farm. The boys were among, ready for this, 125,000 unaccompanied minors who surged into the United States in 2011, fleeing violence in their home countries. It is intolerable that human traffickers, modern-day slaves, could occur in our own backyards. These 125,000 all worked their way through Indiana to get to other places. All of them were the crossroads of America. Portman said in a written statement, what makes Marion case even more alarming is that the U.S. government agencies was responsible for delivering some of the victims into the hands of their abusers. Can't make this stuff up. It's here. It's in Indiana. I want to be your governor. Every politician you see is going to go out there and they're going to talk about what? Hey, we got to get better salaries for our teachers. We got to get better salaries for our police officers. More cops on the street. We got to fix the roads. They're all saying it. They never do it. It's total garbage. What we're going to do here is we are going to undo what the pedophile Mike Pence did, what the pedophile FBI did. We have to start there. If you were really to put pen to paper and look at the money we could save, if we could get rid of the drug abuse, which means getting rid of the illegals, the illegal children, Think of the money we could save. Think how we could improve our schools with the money we save. There are so many benefits from doing the first most important thing of all, stopping modern-day slavery. I'm John Piper. I'm running for governor. Please watch the rest of my videos. They're going to open your eyes. Thank you. God bless Indiana, and God bless the United States of America.